guys. All right. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. The homework just passed back. Went very well for everybody. If I can find my key in the library, my key. Maybe I didn't bury my key. We can talk about it briefly and how it will inform the test that is coming up soon. So please go ahead and look over it. Overall, everyone did very well. There were a couple of issues that, what common things popped up repeatedly? One, make sure that you are writing down units for your answers. I'm probably not going to do much about that at the moment, but it will become increasingly more important to make sure that all of your answers have a unit on them. Because you can do all the math, you can give me a number, but if you don't tell me what unit the number is in, something still could have gone wrong. So units are important unless there are no units in the answer, or the specific thing that I'm asking you for doesn't have a unit, there should be one attached. So do keep that in mind. Keep your units on, make sure you are doing your conversions correctly. I saw a couple of times people writing, say, on their conversion train, like, say, for example, number 3, let's do 3 on the board real quick, 767 miles per hour. A couple of things I saw looked like we did 1 mile is 1.609 kilometers, and then we need to convert kilometers to meters. And if you write 1,000 kilometers in 1 meter, that's incorrect. The ratio is 1,000 to 1, but it's 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. It helps to think for just a second about which one's the bigger one and which one therefore has more of the other in it. So 1,000 meters fit inside 1 kilometer, not the other way around. So just be very careful when setting your conversions up. Make sure to avoid issues like that if you're using the rail system or not. Just be a little bit cautious. And another common issue I believe I noticed is number 18, part B. 18, part B.
For number 3,
oh,
do
yes.
you have the answer for that?
Oh, did I not write that down? Sorry, the answer should be 342.81.
So, wait, so would the rest of it be 1 hour over 3,600 seconds?
Correct.
I'm getting 0.447.
0.447?
Oh, wait. I think I totally forgot the, okay, never mind. Yeah, never mind.
If
I got
it
it.
still doesn't work, please let me know.
No, I didn't multiply the 767. I only did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Real quick, something that I noticed, 18B. 18B. We are asked how far a pilot traveled during a 3-minute span of time. For one thing, this is something I noticed throughout all of 18, our formulas are designed to accept seconds as the standard measurement of time. If you are given minutes, and you then plug minutes into a formula, you're going to need to convert it to seconds first. Except in very rare conditions, seconds is the unit for time we're going to use across the board. So 3 minutes is 180 seconds, and that's what you needed to use for time in all parts of AT. For specifically part B, we were asked how far does she travel in 3 minutes. She is accelerating during those 3 minutes, so we're going to want to use formula number 3 because it takes into account moving and accelerating at the same time. We want to know how far was traveled while accelerating, so we're solving for delta x. We're told acceleration in the question. We're also told time in the question. And then there's the velocity initial. This is the initial velocity before the time of the experiment began, what you were doing before you start counting seconds and the rest of the experiment happens. So this initial, you need to plug in the 89.2 meters per second. You do not plug in the answer to part A because that is the final velocity. So keep careful track of what is labeled what in your notes, in your work, so that you don't put the wrong thing in the wrong variable. Then on the back page, 19 and 20, we did those together, but there weren't many issues with them. Just make sure you have an understanding of these situations. We can further review them in the coming week. We're going to be talking about my goal for any remaining lecture time that we have that isn't dedicated to test taking and test review and exam taking and exam review is to further clarify those questions, work a little bit on the question that we haven't finished yet and the Newton's Laws assignment that I gave out. We're going to be working on all those together as well once the test is out of the way. And so the test itself, the one that we will take shortly, will focus more on the first formulas and less on projectile motion. Falling will be present, but tracking an arc won't be. But keep the homework. Do review these two and the notes for the work and the notes for how you did them. These are important to know. These will come up a lot in 1500 and on the exam. Well, not a lot on the exam, but they will be present there. For right now, though, let's focus. Well, I would like to soon transition into talking about the test that is coming up. Before we make that full transition, does anyone have any questions about this particular assignment?
And the equation are going to be given us, right?
Correct. That is a good question. I have equation sheets for everybody. This is a slightly modified version of the official equation sheet for the class. I have added the 4 movement formulas we've been talking about, the Fantastic Four ones, as well as a reminder of SOHCAHTOA and the 7 base metric prefixes. So those are all on this particular sheet. These will be available when you're taking the test. You can also take one now if you either A, will take it soon outside of the normal time, or B, if you just want it to help you study. It has most things that you could need for the entire class on it, so the exam equation sheet will probably be the same document. We've got quadratic equation, rules about logs and natural logs, the conversion between degrees and radians, keep your eye on that one, and rules about precision and formulas for volume, surface area, perimeter area of basic geometric shapes. So I would keep these at the front of the room if you would like one sooner rather than later. The document will also be on the Brightspace page. And that formula sheet does have this and many more. I didn't write the acceleration due to gravity on there. but I listed it within the test questions that it is relevant in. So all of the information that you will need to do the questions will be provided to you. The test is simply about applying all of those tools to the questions. Thank you for asking. Good segue into that announcement. Any questions about homework 7 before we move on to full test analysis? Okay, so this test will focus on the things we've talked about since the last test. It will still indirectly incorporate things from before because we've been building up from those beginnings the entire time, but we'll be focusing mainly on the more recent things. Today is the 23rd, and the official test date will be Wednesday the 28th, but because everyone and their grandmother is cramming in a test next week, do please let me know if you personally need the test to be different because of any reason. Like if you just have a bunch of tests that day or around that day and you need something to change for your own benefit, tell me and we can work it out, but you need to tell me. But on the day itself, the general advertised date for anyone who doesn't ask me otherwise is the 28th. I'll come in, take the test, designed to be able to finish in less than an hour. I'll be up here answering questions the entire time. You turn in your scratch work. I will grade scratch work for partial points, and there will be 110 points of questions on the test, out of which you'll be graded out of 100. It will be very similar in future physics classes as well. And the formatting across all assignments will be similar as well. So still good practice. My goal is to have the test back and graded for you by Friday the 30th. We will spend that day reviewing, tying together, talking about the Newton's assignment and that last question from the previous homework that we didn't finish up. We'll try to do those together. I'd like to collect those assignments that day so that I can grade them and have them back to you by our last class day, May 5th. We will spend that day making sure everything is tied together and clear for the exam itself. Exam will be cumulative of the semester. It will just be a slightly longer test. There will be 220, probably about 210 points worth on there, graded out of 200.
What time is the exam?
Great question. This is F lecture, right? F period on the scheduling block. I can't just look up exam schedule. I have to dig through tabs for it. Yeah, I have E, F, G, and H across all my lectures. So this is F. F period exam is Tuesday, May 11th at 1:30 p.m. I do also have a G period lecture section of this same lecture. So my rule is if it's the same exam and I'm in here giving it anyway, students can switch between the two times if they need to. That said, the G period exam is Monday at 8:30 a.m. So that might not be extremely enjoyable if you wish to avoid that time, but the option exists. Everyone has different dates. So the 2 periods you can pick for this class to take your exam in are 8:30 a.m. Monday the 10th or 1:30 p.m. Tuesday the 11th. I can already predict what most people are gravitating towards. Excuse me. Now that my phone's the camera, and I can't use it to look up notes or make notes of my own. So I just have to do them on my computer now. Okay. Doing a lot of talking, very little about the actual. How do you guys feel? There's been a lot of information talked about over and over again today. How are you guys feeling about all this?
Are you gonna, send us out like review questions with answers so we can do before Wednesday?
Yes, I am. It might take me some of today to actually finalize and get them posted, but my plan is to offer those like I did last time. While we are talking about the test, let's talk together about the list of things that will be on it. I'm going to, instead of writing this, I'm going to type it up on the screen so that I have it on file to put on Brightspace and so that you guys can read it without having to interpret my garbage handwriting. Okay, so a list of things that will be on test 2 include unit circle, angles versus radians. So remember, this conversion is on your formula sheet. 180 degrees is equal to pi radians. Alternatively, 360 degrees is equal to 2 pi radians. This is simply a conversion. Radians are just a different measurement of angle. So wherever you see one, you can convert it to the other using that principle. Be familiar with, say, the unit circle, and say if the circle highlights 30 degrees on it, be able to use this to convert that into radians. Then we have trigonometry. Be able to find the sides and angles of a right triangle. I have provided upon the formula sheet the acronym SOHCAHTOA, but do remember how to use it. You will look at SO and say sine of angle equals opposite over hypotenuse. Area and perimeter of 2D shapes. Surface area and volume of 3D shapes. Why did I write? What even is volume? And the formulas for all of those things are on your formula sheet. So all you have to do is be able to apply them. Be able to find which digits in math are significant. Be able to do sig figs. That is for add, let me write it like this, plus, minus, multiply, and there isn't really a standard division symbol, so I'm just going to have to use the sideways slash. Whoops, that's not backspace. I don't type good, normally when I can see it on the screen in front of me, let alone when it's behind me. Brief review of sig figs, and there is some reminders of it on your formula sheets. Borrow one real quick. For addition and subtraction, you keep the place value of the least precise number. So say, for example, we are adding 3.1 with 1,250. The least precise number is this one. It goes precision to the ones place, maybe even the tenths place, if we're being honest. Tens place, excuse me. This number is accurate to the tenths place, but this one is technically less accurate. This one might have more sig figs in it, but this one goes to a smaller measure. We can guarantee its certainty to a smaller degree. So this one is the least precise one. We go based on this one. So in terms of sig figs, the answer here should be 1,253, and we cut the 0.1 off. Multiplication and division, though, you keep the least number of significant figures, doesn't matter what place they are in. The difference there would be, let's say, 3.1 divided, now let's do multiplication. 1250. 2 sig figs versus 4, 2 wins out. So whatever that number is, $3,875. We only have 2 sig figs. That would be these two. So we could simplify this answer to just be 3,900. And it does say on the formula sheet, add, subtract, keep least precise, multiply, divide, keep least number of significant figures. So be able to apply that information. You will also need to be able to use given formulas. There will be a couple of questions that will tell you, use the formula written below. and you know what numbers, you're told what numbers to plug into each of them. So I suppose be able to perform algebra upon a formula that you are given. One formula that will definitely appear, and that isn't really a spoiler because we use it everywhere, is percent accuracy, percent error. Formula will be given, but make sure you can get to the correct percentage using it. I cannot type. Slope and y-intercept of a straight line, like the graphing questions on the first page of homework 6. Be able to look at the line and interpret what it should look like. Alternatively, if you were given slope and y-intercept, be able to turn it into a line or the formula of a line. Then, vector addition. As sort of with the homework, the graphical method, you'll be graded on being able to just draw the arrows and how they would connect. So draw one vector, draw the second vector, sort of draw from start to finish what you're looking for, and that's the end of the picture. You can then use that to help you perform the math method, which will involve dividing each vector up into its components so that you can add the like components together to form the final vector. Homework 6 would be a good place to study for that and practice questions that they put up. And be able to use the Fantastic Four motion equations. Similarly, be at least familiar with the idea that gravity as an acceleration, negative 9.8 meters per second squared. So that variable will come up. There will be times where you will use one of the Fantastic Four equations that has acceleration in it, and the acceleration you plug in will be negative 9.8 meters per second squared. We will further practice like trajectory and projectile motion together before the exam. So this will be less about trajectories and more about falling straight down, accelerating in a straight line. Does that feel a little more comfortable?
So basically, like 116 through 18?
Yes, very much like 16 through 18. The only difference is the acceleration is specifically this number. 16 through 18, very good ones to look over for the type of motion questions on the test. And that is the full list. So let's hit save. And that is now on our Brightspace page under the Test 2 tab. I will be adding here within the Test 2 tab a copy of the formula sheet if you would like to use that while reviewing, and also shortly some practice questions and an answer key for them. Any questions? Okay. So homeworks are a good study tool. The practice questions I upload are completely optional. You don't have to do them. You don't have to work them. You could just look at the answer key I put up if you just want to see them answered. You don't have to look at any of it if you don't want to. But it will be good practice. I tend to try to make the practice questions, or at least more like longer than the actual test, just to cover. You get more practice in to make you absolutely prepared for the test itself, try to encompass more things so that there's less to worry about on the test, as opposed to making the practice guide short and the test really long. That just doesn't seem fair to me. And again, if for any reason at all, test next Wednesday is just problematic for your schedule or your mental health or your physical health, please don't pull all-nighters. Please let me know. We'll work something out. And if you guys don't have anything specific, if there's nothing you guys want to look at today, it's Friday, so I'm comfortable calling it here. You guys get to do something a little more restful. But as you're studying, do let me know whatever you need. If you have questions while studying, please email me immediately. I will only not reply quickly if I'm driving or asleep. So thank you all. Do please have a good, safe, healthy, not anxiety-inducing weekend.